this class, inshallah, I am going to teach you about blood pressure. So what is the blood pressure? So what are the factors regulating the blood pressure, and what are the factors affecting the blood pressure, and the regulation, various mechanism of regulation of blood pressure. So this is very important topic as far as your this class is concerned, and as well as a doctor is concerned, blood pressure is very important. Learning objective at the end of this lecture, you should be able to define what is your blood pressure. You should know what is the normal value of blood pressure. You should state the determinants of mean arterial blood pressure. You should state the determinants or the factors regulating the blood pressure. You should describe the role, the reflex responses and types of baroreceptors. Should define the role of kidney in the regulation of blood pressure. So these are the learning objectives you should know at the end of today's class. So inshallah we'll discuss one by one. Blood pressure or arterial blood pressure are same. How it is different is the lateral pressure force generated by the pumping action of the heart on the wall of great arteries. There is a force due to pumping action. You know that heart is pumped, systole and diastole contraction, it will pump the blood. So due to the force generated by the pumping action of the heart, a pressure is developed on the arterial walls. Major artery or peripheral arteries, all the arteries, they develop that pressure on the lateral. Arteries has two walls on the lateral side. Two walls on the lateral side, so lateral. So that's why it is called as lateral pressure. So lateral pressure exerted due to pumping action of the heart on the blood vessels. So that is the pressure. Okay? Pressure is the lateral pressure. Pressure is not developed in the middle of the artery. Pressure is developed on the wall of the lateral pressure. That is walls of the artery wall. Okay. Wall of aorta and arterial blood vessels per unit area. So all the vessels shows its pressure. All the peripheral vessels shows the pressure. Okay. Or simply it is called as pressure inside big arteries. A pressure is there in the big arteries. That is the blood pressure. That's clear? Yes. This is the definition of blood pressure. Lateral pressure is important. The word lateral pressure is important. Measured, how to measure, what is the unit? It is measured commonly and very commonly used unit millimeter of mercury. So many devices are available, sphygmomanometer, many types, so that will record the blood pressure in millimeter of mercury, mmHg, millimeter of mercury. Sometimes it is also recorded in centimeter of water also, very rarely. It can be calculated by 1 millimeter of mercury is equal to 1.36 centimeter of water. 1 millimeter of mercury is equal to 1.36 centimeter of water. By calculating that, you can calculate the blood pressure. You can record in centimeter of water also and record. But very commonly 99% we record blood pressure in millimeter of mercury. It has two components, you know that. It is any figure you take, it has two components, upper component and lower component. For example, if you take a blood pressure 120 by 80, this is the average blood pressure. Average blood pressure in an adult. It is seen that it is recorded. It has taken in many peoples, recorded in many peoples, that they come to a consideration that a normal adult has average blood pressure 120 by 80 milligram. This is the average pressure. Okay. So it has two components. 120 is different, 80 is different. 120 is the maximum pressure, 80 is the minimum pressure. So this 120 is the maximum pressure. It is called as systolic blood pressure. What is systolic blood pressure? Is the maximum blood pressure during the systole. And diastolic blood pressure is the minimum pressure during the diastole. Minimum pressure during the diastole. systolic maximum pressure during the systole. Okay, and the average, because you know that many physiological variations are there. You take sex, age, anything, or any physical exercise, any physiological activity. So it has some range. The systolic from 110 to 130 millimeter of mercury. Some books say that is 140 also. That is the range. 5-10 degree here and there. That is not a big problem. And diastolic 70 to 90 millimeter mercury. Okay. Average blood pressure is 120 by 80. If you want to mention normal value, to write that average blood pressure in adult 120 by 80. If you want to write range, you write systolic from 110 to 130 millimeter mercury and diastolic from 70 to 90. It's clear?
Yes.
Diastolic pressure is more important. Why it is more important? Because heart has to function during resting condition also. So diastole is relaxation of the heart. But diastolic period is longer than the systolic period in the cardiac cycle. If you recollect cardiac cycle, 0.8 second, out of 0.8 second, 0.5 second is the diastole and 0.3 is the systole. If you take atrial systole and diastole also, atrial 0.1 systole, 0.7 diastole. If you take ventricular systole and diastole, ventricular systole is 0.3 second, but ventricular diastole is 0.5 second. That's why diastolic blood pressure is more important than systolic. So we are very much worried if the diastolic pressure is more. Systolic sometimes increase, decrease, or we can manage, but we very much worry if the diastolic blood pressure is more than normal. Then another pressure, one is blood pressure, then the systolic blood pressure, diastolic blood pressure. Then next is the pulse pressure. This is also very important pressure. It is the difference between the systolic and diastolic blood pressure. Okay? Difference between the systolic and diastolic blood pressure. If you take an average 120 by 80 millimeter mercury, average blood pressure, then what will be the pulse pressure? How much? What will be the pulse pressure? 40 millimeter mercury, yes. 120 minus 80 diastolic, 40 millimeter mercury. So this is the pulse pressure. Then the fourth pressure is the mean arterial pressure. Mean arterial pressure is the pressure present throughout the cardiac cycle. It is the pressure present throughout the cardiac cycle. This mean arterial pressure is calculated by diastolic blood pressure plus 1/3 value of pulse pressure. It is calculated that it is diastolic blood pressure, then you add 1/3 of the pulse pressure. Again, I will give an example. If you take 120 by 80, so what is the diastolic pressure? 80. Okay, what is the pulse pressure? 40. You take 1/3 of the 40, it is about 13 or 13.33. So this one average value of mean arterial blood pressure is 80 plus 13 is 93, around 93. It is ranging between 90 to 95 millimeter of mercury. So this is the mean arterial pressure. Okay. So these all pressure you should know normal value and how to calculate. It's clear? Then factors affecting arterial blood pressure. You remember two things here, okay? Two difference. Factors regulating is different. Factor affecting is different. Factor regulating or factor determining, these are the different things. Okay? Factors affecting different. Don't confuse. For factor affecting means just physiological value. But factor regulating determining, it is different thing. That regulate the BP. That is factor determining or factor regulating. Now we are discussing factors affecting arterial blood pressure. If you take sex, male has more pressure than female. You know that is a general thing. Male have more pressure than female due to hormonal effect in the male and female also. But if the female reach the menopause, okay, so end of their menstrual cycle, that is called as menopause. So during that time they may be equal to male, You should know, because if you are recording the blood pressure and you are thinking that the pressure should be less, but she attained the menopause, then you should remember in your mind that maybe blood pressure is slightly higher because some of the hormones withdrawals and some other hormone increases during menopause. So this is the first physiological variation. Then second is age. Elderly person has more than children. Because elderly, when a person reach about 50 to 60 years of age, then due to deposition of lipids on the arterial wall, that is called as atherosclerosis, due to that the arteries lost the elasticity. When they lost the elasticity, if you want to pump the blood from that atherosclerotic vessel, it required more pressure. So for that reason, the blood pressure is increases in elderly patient. Okay. So elderly has more than children. Then emotional conditions. Emotional condition, blood pressure also increases due to, that in emotions the hormones adrenaline and noradrenaline secreted, and both had increases the sympathetic activity. The sympathetic activity increases, blood pressure increases.
Sorry, can you repeat emotions?
Emotions, any emotional conditions. During emotions, what happens? For example, you take anxiety or excitation. Excitation is also emotion. During that situation, what happens? These hormones are commonly released, adrenaline and noradrenaline, both hormones. They are in stress. They are released. When they release, this adrenaline and noradrenaline, they are powerful sympathetic stimulator. They stimulate the sympathetic system. When the sympathetic system is stimulated, overall activity of the heart increases. Blood pressure increases. Then exercise, blood pressure increases due to increase in the venous return. What is venous return? The blood from the greater veins goes back to the heart. That is called as venous return. Okay. So during exercise, what happens? Two things happen. One is exercise, again sympathetic stimulation. Then secondly, venous return. More exercise due to contraction of the muscles. Last class I showed last slide in which how the blood is pumped. Okay. Due to that contraction of the muscles, more blood is pumped back to the heart, to the great veins, that is called as venous return. If venous return increases, cardiac output increases. End-gastric volume increases and the cardiac output increases. If the cardiac output increases, blood pressure increases. Okay. So exercise, blood pressure increases. Then hormones. Last class I discussed the various hormones. Many hormones, they have the increased activity at the heart. For example, you take adrenaline, noradrenaline and thyroid hormone. Increase in the concentration of that hormone also increases the blood pressure. So hormones affecting the blood pressure. Then gravity. In gravity, pressure in the lower limbs is more than the upper limbs. Means pressure is more in the upper limb than the lower limb due to gravity. Because it will take more time, means the venous return is, if you are in a standing position, venous return from the lower limb is less. And from the upper limb is almost equal or slightly above the heart level. So the pressure usually increases. But blood pressure is more in lower limb. Because it requires more pressure in the lower limb. So blood pressure is more. Blood pressure is more in lower limb compared. If you record the blood pressure from the brachial artery, if you get 120/80, same you record pressure in the popliteal artery, it is more 10 or 15 degree more.
So which more? Which one more?
Lower limb is more. Popliteal artery is in lower limb, no? Where is the popliteal artery? Lower limb, yes. No, popliteal artery behind this one, knee. So means lower limb pressure is more compared to upper limb. Lower limb blood pressure is more. Then pregnancy. In pregnancy, blood pressure is increases due to increase in the metabolism. There is increase in the metabolism. That's why if the metabolism increases, heart activity increases, and blood pressure is more. Racial. Orientals more than Westerns. So Western has less blood pressure than the Orientals. This is because of the research has said that is due to dietary factors or weather, climatic changes. Sleep. Blood pressure decreases because due to decrease in the venous return during sleep. So venous return is slow, less. Cardiac output decreases and blood pressure decreases. So these are the factors affecting the blood pressure. Physiological variation. Now factors determining the blood pressure. Don't confuse. Again, I am telling, don't confuse with the factor determining is different. Factors affecting is different. Factors determining or factors regulating are same. Factors affecting, that is different. Factors determining the arterial blood pressure. So arterial blood pressure depends on cardiac output and peripheral resistance. Arterial blood pressure depends on cardiac output and peripheral resistance. What is cardiac output? The lecture is over. The blood pumped out by each ventricle per beat or per unit time is called as cardiac output. So this lecture is over. So I know, means you know that everything, cardiac output. Okay? And peripheral resistance, you know, this is the resistance offered by the small blood vessels. For example, maximum resistance seen in arterioles. If anybody tell in front of you peripheral resistance, you think about arterioles. Arterioles, you know, small artery, arteriole. So more resistance is there. When blood passing through the arterioles, more resistance required because the arterioles are very small. Okay? So that is resistance offered by the arteriole, that is called as peripheral resistance and cardiac output. So blood pressure is a product of cardiac output and peripheral resistance. If anything increase or decrease of blood pressure. It is a product of blood pressure is equal to cardiac output into peripheral resistance. Is a fact.
Peripheral resistance, is it the same after load?
Yes.
And the after load, pregnancy increased after load.
Yeah.
But the blood pressure here, pregnancy decreased blood pressure.
Who said pregnancy decreases blood pressure?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So now BP depends on cardiac output. Then cardiac output in turn is a product of stroke volume into heart rate. How will calculate cardiac output? What is the normal cardiac output? 5 liter per minute. Okay, 5 liter. Okay. How much stroke volume? It is 70. How much heart rate? 72. You multiply 70, 72, 5 liter. So cardiac output is a product of stroke volume into heart rate. Cardiac output is a product of stroke volume into heart rate. What is stroke volume? It is the amount of blood pumped out of the ventricle per stroke, per beat. That is the stroke volume. Okay? You know, I am just telling stroke volume is the amount of blood pumped out by each ventricle per stroke or per beat. Stroke volume into what? If you multiply stroke volume into heart rate in 1 minute, how much is stroke volume? That is equal to cardiac output. Okay? Cardiac output, the blood pressure is the product of cardiac output and peripheral resistance. Cardiac output is a product of stroke volume into heart rate. Okay. You can also say that blood pressure is the product of, whether I am right or wrong, you tell. Huh? Blood pressure is the product of stroke volume into heart rate into peripheral resistance. Whether I am correct or
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Product of
Yes.
stroke volume, heart rate, total peripheral resistance.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes, because first two means cardiac.
Yes.
And
Good.
first.
So blood pressure depends on cardiac output, peripheral resistance, and blood volume. Blood volume also control the blood pressure. If blood volume is more, blood pressure is more. Blood volume is less, blood pressure is less. Okay. So these are the three factors on which blood values or blood pressure is depends, or the factors regulating blood pressure are cardiac output, peripheral resistance, and blood volume. It's clear? Now the regulation of arterial blood pressure. How the arterial blood pressure is regulated? Maintaining blood pressure is important to ensure a steady blood flow. So why blood pressure is important? To continuous supply of nutrient and oxygen through the blood to various tissues and cells. So that's why continuous maintaining blood pressure is important. It should not be more or less. It deprivates the blood supply to the various vital tissues. So that's why maintaining blood pressure is important. So in seconds also blood pressure change. So there should be a mechanism in the body to control the blood pressure. There should be a mechanism. Otherwise, for example, you take brain. Suddenly there is a less supply to the brain. Brain is a very, very important organ, and very means if within few seconds also if there is decreased oxygen supply to this one brain, then irreversible degeneration of the neurons takes place. So that's why there is a very important mechanisms are there in the body to regulate minute to minute, second to second regulation of blood pressure in our body. Okay. So what are that mechanism? We'll discuss. Blood pressure is regulated neurally, that is neuronal mechanism, through centers in the medulla oblongata. Last class we have discussed this cardiovascular regulatory center in the medulla, medial portion, lateral portion sympathetic, medial portion parasympathetic, if you recollect. Okay. Same thing. The medullary center, there are two centers are there, two medial part and lateral part. The medial part, that is lateral part, is vasomotor center. Okay. Vasomotor center is same, pressure area is same, and sympathetic activity center is same. All three are same name. Okay. Because the stimulation of vasomotor center, sympathetic stimulation. Okay. Then the medial part, cardiac inhibitory center, is same. Depressor area, if you say, that is also same, and it is innervated with the parasympathetic. So all the parasympathetic activity is going through this center, cardiac inhibitory center. Okay. Remember that two centers are there. One is vasomotor, another is cardiac inhibitory center. Vasomotor, cardiac inhibitory center. Vasomotor, sympathetic. This cardiac inhibitory center, parasympathetic. Okay. Cardiac control center in the medulla, same thing, cardiac excitatory center, vasomotor center, or cardiac inhibitory center, sympathetic, parasympathetic. So the regulatory mechanism depends on fast acting reflexes, that is called a short term mechanism. Fast acting reflexes, very fast. Suppose in 1 minute you want to change your blood pressure, so that mechanism will come first. Suddenly you want to change the blood pressure, so this neural mechanism comes. Fast acting reflexes, short term mechanism. This is concerned by controlling cardiac output and peripheral resistance, stroke volume, heart rate, and peripheral resistance. So this center, by regulating the cardiac output, by regulating the peripheral resistance, regulating the blood pressure. Another mechanism is there, that is called as long term mechanism, concerned mainly by the regulation of blood volume. That is mainly regulate the blood volume, then in turn regulate the blood pressure. That is the long term mechanism. Means that mechanism, it will take time to start, time to initiate, time to effect. and it will maintain the blood pressure up to more time, months and sometimes year also. That is the renal mechanism. Okay, one is the neural mechanism, one is the renal mechanism. Now regulation of arterial blood pressure, that regulation of cardiac output, that is a short-term mechanism. This is the fast acting mechanism. As I said, within seconds or minutes your blood pressure is maintained, within seconds and minutes. Cardiac output regulation depends on the regulation of stroke volume and heart rate. You know that it is a product of stroke volume and heart rate. So this stroke volume and diastolic volume, that is Frank-Starling law. What is Frank-Starling's law?
Force contraction.
Yes, directly proportional to the initial length of the cardiac muscle fiber. So more force of contraction, more end diastolic volume. More end diastolic volume, more stroke volume. More stroke volume, more blood pressure. More cardiac output, more blood pressure. And sympathetic stimulation also increases the force of contraction, so increases the stroke volume. So mean arterial pressure increases for stroke volume. Parasympathetic increases the heart rate, parasympathetic decreases the heart rate. Okay, we discuss how the blood pressure is regulated. The regulation of peripheral resistance, also a fast mechanism controlled by three mechanisms: intrinsic, extrinsic and paracrine mechanism. And extrinsic is the very common mechanism. Extrinsic mechanism controlling through several reflex mechanisms. Most important is the baroreceptor and chemoreceptors. Okay? Baroreceptors and chemoreceptor mechanism. Baroreceptor reflex. So baroreceptors, you know that they are sensitive to what?
Change in pressure.
Change in the pressure, or stretch. Okay. Baroreceptors are receptors found in carotid sinus and aortic arch. So the site we have discussed in the last class in the diagram, carotid sinus and aortic arch, and they are stimulated by changes in the blood pressure. Now you concentrate here. I am giving an example how the blood pressure is regulated by baroreceptor mechanism. Suppose there is increase in the blood pressure. Suppose there is increase in the blood pressure. You take a mean, pulse pressure is more. Due to more systolic pressure, more diastolic pressure, blood pressure increases. You know that if the blood pressure increases, there is a stretch in the blood vessels. If there is a stretch in the blood vessels, the baroreceptors are stimulated. Baroreceptors are stimulated. What happens if baroreceptors are stimulated? Last class I discussed. Again I will show you, but yes, I am asking whether you remembered or not. Baroreceptor increases means they inhibit vasomotor center, they stimulate cardiac inhibitory center. Inhibit vasomotor center and stimulate cardiac excitatory center. Now, I want your concentration. I will ask you, what happens if there is a inhibition of vasomotor center? Everything is decreased, not parasympathetic. Sympathetic decreases.
Yeah, it would work.
Yes. All this decreases. Stroke volume, heart rate, everything decreases. Okay. Then suppose there is a stimulation of cardiac inhibitory center. You think and answer. Stimulation of cardiac inhibitory center. That means stimulate parasympathetic. If there is stimulation of parasympathetic, what happens?
Decrease.
Again decrease.
Right.
Decrease in the heart rate, stroke volume, everything. Peripheral resistance. Vasomotor center inhibition inhibit the sympathetic, so there is a vasodilatation and decrease in the total peripheral resistance. Stimulation of cardiac inhibitory center stimulate parasympathetic, slowing of AE node, that heart rate is decreases and cardiac output is decreases. If cardiac output is decreases and peripheral resistance is decreases, what happens? Decrease in the blood pressure, because blood pressure is the product of cardiac output into peripheral resistance. So blood pressure bring back to normal level. Normal level. Okay, it's clear?
Yes.
Baroreceptor mechanism. Same thing, it is not there in your slide, but just I'll ask. Suppose reverse is occur, decrease in the blood pressure. What happens?
Stimulates the vasomotor.
Yes. Inhibition of baroreceptors that leads to stimulation of vasomotor center, inhibition of cardiac center. Sympathetic stimulation, increase vasoconstriction, increase total peripheral resistance. Parasympathetic, increase of this fast conduction of the SL node, that increases the heart rate, increases the cardiac output. If cardiac output increases, peripheral resistance increases, blood pressure increases. Okay. Reverse is also there due to inhibition of baroreceptors. Okay, it is clear? Chemoreceptor reflex. Chemoreceptors, they are found, receptors found in the carotid and aortic bodies. So that is the site of chemoreceptors. They are sensitive to what? Blood chemistry. Decrease oxygen or increase carbon dioxide or pH, acidic pH. They are stimulated by chemical changes in the blood, mainly hypoxia or hypercapnia, increased carbon dioxide, or pH changes. Now, to take example that there is a hemorrhage, and hemorrhage, you know that blood pressure is decreases because due to decrease in the loss of blood. Blood volume is decreases, so that's why blood pressure decreases. And the blood pressure decreases, then oxygen content of the blood is also decreases. That leads to hypoxia. When there is hypoxia, chemoreceptors are stimulated. And there is hypoxia, chemoreceptor, because they are sensitive to hypoxia, hypercapnia, and pH changes. So chemoreceptors are stimulated. When the chemoreceptors are stimulated, they stimulate vasomotor center and inhibit cardiac inhibit center. Then remaining thing, you know that when this is stimulated, what happened, and this is inhibition, what happened. You know that remaining thing, what happened. Same where this sympathetic vasoconstriction, parasympathetic heart rate, cardiac output, both peripheral resistance and cardiac output increases, so increase in the blood pressure. Yeah? So this is the chemoreceptor. Other vasomotor reflexes, other than the most important is baroreceptor and chemoreceptor. Other reflexes also there, vasomotor. Another that is called as arterial stretch receptor reflex. In this reflex, what happens when there is increase in the venous return? Increase in the venous return stimulate arterial stretch receptors. The other receptors present in the arterial walls. So there is a reflex vasodilatation and leads to decreased BP. Okay, these are the different receptors. Don't confuse with baroreceptors. Don't confuse. These are they are present in the atria. Atrial chamber, atrial, this one, ventricle atria is there. Left atrium, the right atrium, you know. So that is atrial receptor. They are present in the atria. So increase in the venous return, they stimulate the receptors present in the atrial wall. Okay. When they are stimulated, reflex vasodilatation, immediately vasodilatation occurs. You know that when the vasodilatation occurs, peripheral resistance decreases. Peripheral resistance decreases, blood pressure decreases, because blood pressure is a product of cardiac output and peripheral resistance. And thermoreceptors, these are the receptors sensing the temperature change in the body temperature, present on the skin, or the thermoreceptors present in the skin as well as in the hypothalamus. Okay, if anyone is exposed to heat in hot weather, if your body is exposed to heat, there is a vasodilatation. If there is vasodilatation, blood pressure decreases. When exposed to cold, now cold, you are exposed to cold, then vasoconstriction, blood pressure should be more because of vasoconstriction. Okay, so this is another reflex that is due to thermoreceptors. Then pulmonary receptors, another type of receptor present in the lung wall, in the lungs, in the pulmonary blood vessels, when they are present in the lungs, and these when the lung inflate, expand, lung expand more than normal, then reflex vasoconstriction occurs. Vasoconstriction. This is another reflex mechanism when lung expands, vasoconstriction. If there is a vasoconstriction, blood pressure increases. Okay? These are the three other vasomotor reflexes. Now the number 4 is the hormonal agents. Noradrenaline, you know that if adrenaline, noradrenaline increase blood pressure, vasoconstriction, except in skeletal muscles. Okay, what happens if adrenaline stimulate all the blood vessels in the body except skeletal blood vessels. Skeletal muscle blood vessel, they cause vasodilatation. So that is the reason. That is when you do the exercise, adrenaline is released. It causes vasoconstriction of throughout all the body, all the vessels. But skeletal muscle, this vasodilation to supply more blood to the skeletal muscles, to supply more oxygen. Angiotensin 2, it is a powerful vasoconstrictor. Angiotensin 2, we'll discuss later. Okay. Vasopressin, antidiuretic hormone. This is also powerful vasoconstrictor. Now the regulation of lateral blood pressure by regulating the blood volume. So now we'll discuss renal mechanism. The mechanism of the kidney, how the kidney regulate blood pressure. Renal mechanism. This is a long-term regulative mechanism. Start little bit late, but maintain blood pressure for longer duration. Okay. It is mainly renal. Okay, mainly renal. So there are three mechanisms. One is the renin-angiotensin system. Another is antidiuretic hormone. This is also renal because that hormone affecting the kidney. Okay. And third is low pressure volume receptors mechanism. This is also receptor. This substance, they acts on the kidney. So all these three mechanisms: renin-angiotensin, antidiuretic hormone mechanism, and low pressure volume receptors mechanism. Renin-angiotensin system, most important mechanism for sodium retention in order to maintain the blood volume. You know that if sodium is retained, water is also retained, and this increases the blood volume. If blood volume increases, blood pressure also increases. Any drop of renal blood flow, drop means decrease, not a blood drop. Drop means decrease. Any drop of blood flow or decreased sodium ion concentration will stimulate volume receptors found in the juxtaglomerular apparatus of the kidney to secrete renin. Okay, this is a hormone secreted by the juxtaglomerular apparatus whenever there is a decreased sodium ion or decreased blood flow to the kidney. This clear? Renin. Then the renin will act on the angiotensin system, leading to production of aldosterone. Decrease in the renal blood flow or decreased sodium stimulate juxtaglomerular apparatus of the kidney. They are considered the volume receptors. They secrete a hormone, renin. Renin acts on angiotensinogen. This is secreted by the liver, angiotensinogen. So this renin acts on angiotensinogen and convert angiotensinogen to angiotensin 1. Okay. Then another enzyme is there, secreted by the lungs, angiotensin converting enzyme, or it's also called as converting enzyme. It converts angiotensin 1 to angiotensin 2. Okay? And same enzyme convert 2 to 3. And 2 and 3 are powerful vasoconstrictor. Angiotensin 2 and 3 are powerful vasoconstrictor, but most important is the angiotensin 2 because the concentration of angiotensin 2 is more than 3. And this angiotensin 2 again, even though it is a powerful vasoconstrictor, but it stimulates the adrenal cortex to secrete aldosterone. And what is aldosterone? You know that function? Retain sodium and water. If sodium and water retain, blood volume more, blood pressure more. So it is a powerful vasoconstrictor, causes vasoconstriction. This is also your aldosterone, sodium and water retained.
Also, the
Yes.
cortisol that stimulate the vasoconstriction.
Yes.
Through the.
So, ultimately, all these lead to increase in the blood volume. If the blood volume is more, increase in the blood pressure. Here, in energetic mechanism, very easy. You remember, very easy. Just remember the two enzymes, and everything is easy. The second mechanism, the antidiuretic hormone, ADH or vasopressin, is a hormone secreted by which gland? Which pituitary? Posterior. This is important. This posterior pituitary. Name itself vasopressin. Name itself is a vasopressin. It causes vasoconstriction. Antidiuretic. Diuretic means loss of water. Anti means retention of water. So antidiuretic hormone. It acts on the renal tubules. So whenever there is a hypovolemia or dehydration due to vomiting and any other thing, hypovolemia will stimulate the osmoreceptors in the hypothalamus, which lead to release of antidiuretic hormone from the posterior pituitary gland. And ADH will cause water reabsorption at the kidney tubules. Water retain. When the water retains, sodium is also retained. Blood volume increases, blood pressure increases. Then the third is the low pressure volume receptors. Atrial natriuretic peptides. This is also present in, secreted by the atria of the heart. It's a hormone, that is ANP or atrial natriuretic peptide, from the wall of right atrium to regulate sodium excretion. So this reverse occurs. This what it does? It causes loss of sodium from the body. Okay. So in order to maintain blood volume. So whenever there is an increase in the blood volume, this hormone is released from the atria. Okay. And it causes loss of more excretion of sodium. So if more sodium is lost, more water is also lost, blood volume decreases, blood pressure decreases. Okay. So there are three mechanisms. Renal mechanism. One is renin-angiotensin mechanism. Then second is the ADH, and third is the low pressure volume receptors. It's clear?
Yes.